One member of the county board had stated in one of these sessions that she can protect communities of single-family homes, but not communities like mine, mostly apartment or condos. Is it your opinion that my neighborhood of apartment homes is any less of a community than that of a single-family home community? Would you show a preference to preserve neighborhoods of single-family homes as compared to these multifamily units?
Gosh, I'll go first. These are wonderful communities that you have here, and the stresses may be slightly different than they are in some of the places where there are single-family homes. But I think our job, as I've said, I think that the challenge before the county right now is how do we revitalize and hold on to that which we already have that's so wonderful. And that means apartment communities, it means condo communities, it means single-family home communities. How do we help maintain a good balance so that we have livable places? So no, I don't think that by any stretch of the imagination that the community you have here in the Belvedere or any of these large buildings is less of a community than the one where I live at all.
To be quite honest, I'm a little taken aback that somebody would say that, because we're all citizens of this county. We all pay taxes, we all drive the same roads, you use the same facilities, you have the same needs as everybody else in the county, and why you would be segregated out by that is beyond my disbelief. You know, we have a problem in this county. It's true that we treat things a little bit differently in different places in this county. Look at North Arlington. They get new schools, while South Arlington doesn't get as many new schools. I mean, both North Arlington schools, high schools are being rebuilt, but yet Wakefield High School down there in South Arlington has HVAC systems and really needs to be rebuilt and is not being taken care of, and they've known that for a long time. So there's inequities here. You talk about a diverse population and doing the right things in this county. Well, let's do the right things for everybody in this county, whether you live in a condominium, a home, or whether you live in North or South Arlington. Thank you.
I believe you said she, so kind of narrows it down. It might have been. I don't know what the context of that was, and but to answer your question directly, I believe in equity, and I'm not going to favor that single-family residents in neighborhoods are more important than high-rises. I've lived in high-rises before coming to Arlington. I struggle to pay the rent from my mom family, and so I know what it's like to live in a building, and I know all the intricacies that go on in a building. I lived in a condo before I moved to in Washington D.C. before I moved to Arlington at Brittany between 16th and on 16th Street and UNB Street. So I enjoy living in an apartment. So I don't understand what the context of that was, but I do believe in equity. I always want to look and be as informed as possible on a given project, but it doesn't make any sense to me that the context of valuing one style of living over another. Both are important. We need to preserve the character of neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods are single-family homes and high-rise residential. We have quite a lot of those in Arlington.
And high-rise developments. This is a concern. In fact, at the Ashton Heights debate, the question came up. They were very concerned about development along Wilson, basically, and the encroachment, continuous encroachment of high-rises in that residential area, and also the traffic-related problems, which is going to increase when you look into the future with a development like that, because that is certainly on the drawing boards. So I think there are several issues here. It's a very interesting question, because one of the issues is open space. And people in high-rises like to have park areas and so forth to walk dogs and sort of that question came up on Monday about the dog park in Lion Village and how much space was given to dogs versus people. So I can only say that I think that there is too little emphasis on looking at the neighborhoods, the single-family neighborhoods. There seems to be more emphasis, and you can see this in the overview of the Master Transportation Plan, for development. How are we going to accommodate development? But you don't hear much about single-family homes, and I think that we're getting too far oriented toward the high-rise to favor that, and too little emphasis on residential development. So I really agree with your concern.
Okay. Perspective, it actually makes more sense to invest more efforts into encouraging multifamily housing, apartments, condos, townhouses, etc. I think one thing that we can do to preserve that type of housing is to have a public housing authority. Now, the whole debacle of Buckingham last year, which was a large reason why I got involved with local politics, partly happened because we didn't have a public housing authority that could have purchased that land from the developers instead of letting them tear it down and destroy the market rate affordable housing that existed there. Another thing that we can do is when the Historical Affairs Landmark and Review Board determines that something should be a historical property, like a lot of the garden-style apartments are in Arlington, the county board should act on that recommendation and not cut a deal behind the backs of the community with developers, like what happened in Buckingham that led to the destruction of affordable housing there.